I'm here with Erin Gerlach, and we are making trinket boxes. I mean, this is like magic out of essentially sort of the junk in your jewelry box, right?
It is. Well, the idea behind it is grandma's old jewelry. What do you do with it when, you know, she's not here? You can't throw it away.
No.
I don't have the heart to do that. But some of the pieces are really cool. And so some things you might wear, but the things that you don't remind you of her. And so that's the idea behind this, is putting them into pieces that you can use and it becomes functional art.
Awesome. How do we get started?
So we get started, we pick a box, and grandma may have one of these laying around that you can just do, or you could do the top of a box too, that's already existing. That's another example of a wood box. So we're gonna use this box, and so to start, you're gonna wanna clean up your boxes, and you're also gonna wanna clean up any of your jewelry pieces that you're using.
You just don't want them to be dusty or rusty or anything like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Clean, debris-free surface. Perfect. And some, you know, have dirt on them. Wipe them down. So you're going to start by picking your jewelry backers off. Anything that needs to be snipped ahead of time. All those clip-on earrings. There's so many of them.
Because you want flat backs, I assume, for this.
Well, you know, you could if you we'll get to that part.
Okay.
We'll get to that part. You can build up with this.
Okay.
So this was like a pin, someone's pin.
Oh, so you can actually take a pin and cut the pieces apart.
Disassemble it.
You just have to have serious, like, tin snips, metal snips,
these are just
some
basic
kind of
little
something.
snips. There's nothing special about them. They are my husband's, but that is our special. So now that we've got that all, I think we're ready to go with this. So first we mix up the product. So we're gonna glove up.
So we're using clay to basically embed things in,
It's an adhesive clay.
Okay.
So you can use it to sculpt, and it's going to adhere right to your surface. There's no glue. This is the glue. This is the build-up. This is everything. So we're going to use parts A and part B.
So you have the scooper because you're mixing up equal parts of each.
And I don't want the B to get into with the A. So we're gonna.
I was gonna say lots of times with the A and B stuff, my understanding has always been that they basically aren't active until they, you know, get together, and that's why the jars don't harden.
Exactly.
Because you have to mix them.
You got it. You're a professional.
Well, you know, I always feel like I see so many fantastic people come through with techniques, so I feel like I ought to be able to do everything, and then I try it myself, and it's harder than you
can
think.
finish mixing that.
Okay.
So I brought a roller because as you put this on, you just put it where you want it. If you only want a little button of something on there, you only need to put a button of something on there. That's kind of the beauty of this.
So like if you had wanted to embellish the rose that was on there, you could just put a teeny tiny bit of clay on.
That would have been a great idea.
Right?
Yep, perfect.
Just to get that.
Perfect. So I'm not going to be super duper exact. This is what we're going to make here. And so I'm going to kind of show you how I replicated this. But know that you can put this really on any type of a surface, like a jar or a box, a mint tin. It's really meant to be a functional piece that you're going to use. But you could also make something on something really fancy that you don't want to use.
I was going to say, you could use a frame
hutch.
and put a picture of like your grandma in the frame or something like that.
There are frame shops that do that.
Oh, really?
And I've seen that where they make like these jewelry trees and things like that. So that's where this kind of came from. So the clay's on here. And if you have a box, you might want to roll it to smooth it a little bit.
Okay.
We're
now
not
you're using a plastic roller, does it matter?
It's like a PVC or plastic nylon roller. Just anything so it doesn't really stick to that. So we're gonna start by just pushing, and it's just pushing them in there really, because it's just gonna adhere all by itself. And so this kind of changes the shape of this not being quite a heart, which I kind of liked, you know, doing something different.
This totally reminds me of like, have you ever seen the sailors' valentines that sailors would make on boats where they would make them out of shells and stuff like that? And it has that feeling of like the little memories and mementos you picked up on the way, and you're creating something artistic out of it.
Yes, yes. So for like this, so there is clay there, but there's not quite enough for me, in my opinion. So I'm gonna stick a little more on the back, and I'm just gonna sink that one right in there.
So you don't have to worry then about getting it right the first time. It's like if there's a problem, you just add a little bit more in. So this is what you meant. If you didn't cut the backing off, you could just add extra clay.
Exactly. And if you feel that it's too loose, you can just push a piece underneath of it. And it's okay that it looks messy, like this is wobbling around, so I'm gonna wanna shove just a little bit more clay underneath of that to kind of stabilize it.
Oh, so once it goes down, you can pull it back up and add stuff and change it.
And I'm gonna show you a neat technique in just a minute here on what you can, do with that. So you can get, kind of technical if you want. We don't need that yet.
That's cool. I like
we
how
just
all the
kind
shiny
of-
little bits come together into something. I mean, it's so much more than the jewelry was originally. It makes me think, sometimes I look at like those big bags of jewelry that people are selling at garage sales, and I'm like, what would I do with all of that stuff?
And
this is the answer.
This is the answer, and they are really special. You can make some really great gifts for people after somebody, after someone's not around anymore, and they appreciate them.
I think
for
so,
sure.
because it's full of things that are really personal, or you wonder what to do with somebody's collection of tiny little spoons, or even a pottery collection. This would be an easy way of like adding some mosaic bits to something.
Absolutely. So that's so basically, and then you can, if you really want, you can add, like a fancy gem or something.
Well, trust me, I always want to add a fancy gem to anything.
Right? Who doesn't? So you can put anything you want in there and keep building as you go, but really it's that simple. And you can do the edges too. I like to, use like the beaded edge things here.
That's such a
and you
clever
just
way
keep
to use a necklace.
So I just trim the edge of it, and so this is loose, but then that piece just hides in there so nicely, and I didn't have to sit and place all those beads.
And it finishes it.
It really does, and some of those box examples over there, and we'll get to that, but that's how they're done. And so this is where it comes in. I'm just going to use a little bit of a release agent on this.
So it doesn't stick to the clay.
So
That's
it doesn't stick to the clay. And so I'm going to go through and I'm going to hide some of
So what are you doing exactly? You're just poking holes.
It's like stippling, pointillism type of technique, but
That sounds very fancy.
It is very fancy. Very fancy, yet very simple. So I am just hiding these pieces a little bit in here, and so you can it does not take that long. Now, if you're doing a large
decorative, really decorative look.
And it gives you an opportunity to hide the adhesive, the clay, and to go underneath your pieces to stabilize them and hold them in there.
And I'm assuming you could put glitter, seed beads, anything like that in there
powders,
to like really get
molds. You could do things that are not
super cool
on there that you just like a butterfly or something you want to use a press
Well, you
mold.
brought such a wonderful range of projects here. I can see, look at this Christmas ball. That's really cool too.
That is really cool, and you can use this same technique on exactly that.
This is awesome. These are all so beautiful. I could stare at them for hours. There are so many details to look at. Erin, I want to make one of these.
You should. Well, you should, but I mean, you can also do like a commemorative type of a piece too. So if you don't have stuff, and it doesn't have to be because somebody's gone, but just to help remind you of them, or just
For
things
a
that you
birthday
have
party,
in general.
anything
Perfect.
like that.
Kids Legos,
It's
a
a
little
great
trinket
idea.
box. So
Thank you.
Thank you.